Hello internet, my name is Lave and I watched Borg vs McEnroe, which is directed by Janus, who's a director I'm not familiar with, but I am familiar with the story that he's trying to tell here, which obviously is about the 1980s Wimbledon tennis final where Björn Borg went up against John McEnroe. Borg was aiming to be the first person to win Wimbledon 5 times in a row. John McEnroe was aiming to win it for the first time. Now, believe it or not, I used to play a lot of tennis growing up. I would show you my serve technique, but I've got a bit of a bad back and I haven't really got the room in here. And don't tell my brother, he was always the better tennis player than me. I'm not a super tennis fan. I don't follow the season all year round, but I do watch Wimbledon every year and they're steeped in history and they love to tell you about all of their classic games. So I actually knew the outcome of this story, but despite that, I was still really interested to see it all dramatised. So this being a sports biography, let's start with the obvious, what so many films like this are dependent on, and that is the cast who are portraying the real life counterparts. First of all, Sverrir Gudnason, I'm sorry, can't pronounce his name. He's really uncanny as Borg. He really looks like the guy and he really captures his precise, emotionless, machine-like nature of the guy. I really wish I could think of a good comparison. Something emotionless, machine-like Borg. No, nothing's coming to mind. All joking aside, the film and his performance does a really good job of capturing the immense pressure this guy was under. Not only was he dealing with all of the fame, which he wasn't particularly a fan of, he's also dealing with the pressure of trying to win it 5 times in a row, and you see the seeds of doubt set in. There's a really good line where he says, "People won't remember me for winning it 4 times in a row. They will always remember me as the person who lost the 5th. They're just waiting for me to tumble." This is juxtaposed with Shia LeBeouf's performance as John McEnroe, the volatile, loudmouthed, foul-mouthed bad boy of tennis. I do think that it is some really inspired casting there because there are parallels between Shia LeBeouf in real life and the real life John McEnroe. And it'd be really easy to just dismiss that as Shia LeBeouf playing Shia LeBeouf, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to take anything away from his performance. I think he is really good as John McEnroe. Now, what's really interesting about the film is that it does chart the build up towards the final and the routes that both men had to take and the games that they had to play before they got there. And the obvious focus is highlighting the differences between the two men, their different personalities and their approach to the game. But it also delves into their backstories and you see them growing up as kids via flashbacks, and in that regards the film isn't as balanced for me. The focus is definitely on Björn Borg more than it is McEnroe, but it focuses on the relationship that Björn Borg had with his trainer, played by Stellan Skarsgård, who is absolutely terrific, by the way. What's really fascinating about it though is that it exposes the similarities between the two men. Björn Borg apparently as a kid was just as impetuous and prone to these outbursts like McEnroe was, but it's only through his training by his coach where he learns to suppress this, and he's not this cool Iceman precision machine. He's actually more like a volcano waiting to explode. He just channels it into his game. And what's interesting is that McEnroe sort of takes the same path, and that is evident if you've seen the real life game. You can see he's much more reserved in the actual game. So yeah, performance wise this film is very solid. Likewise, the cinematography is also very good. In particular, the way that they framed a lot of their shots, which is important, otherwise you could just watch a documentary of the actual game. And it does revel in the late 70s, early 80s time period that this is all set. You get the obligatory Club 54 scene. The production values are very good too. As solid as this film is, I do have some nitpicks though. Firstly, it's very serious, and I get that it's a drama and that's what they're going for, but I just wish that there were some lighter moments. There is one which worked particularly well, which involves the back staff at Wimbledon, where one of the crew members is told to turn down the mic on McEnroe's side of the court. That was absolutely hilarious. I just wish there were more situational funny moments like that, just to lighten the mood and just give a bit of levity to the drama. And as good as all of the performances are, it was quite obvious to me that LeBeouf isn't a very good tennis player. The guy who plays Borg I thought was really good. There's a really good scene where he's practicing against this machine and you can see he's got the movement down, but LeBeouf wasn't as convincing for me. They do try to hide it with some editing techniques, and there is some really obvious body doubles, particularly in the wide shots. But having said that, the final match in itself is really good. It has this Rocky type feel. It's full of montages and some hero slow-mo shots of them going... One thing that winds me up in general in sports dramas, a lot of them do this, not just this one, but one moment in particular really got to me. It's when commentators spout exposition or tell you exactly what's going on or what the player or person is feeling at a particular moment in time. That moment in this film is when the commentator literally stops to say, oh, we're in a tiebreak now, and for those who don't know what a tiebreak is, it's... And I was like, oh, come on, you cannot be serious. Thank you, I'm here a week. I get that they included it to make it more appealing to people who maybe don't watch tennis, but come on, they shouldn't do it at the expense of people who actually watch tennis. And let's be honest, the only people who are going to go and see this are probably fans of tennis. I always think that they should show rather than tell in films like this. And as an example, at the end of the film, there's a really nice moment where McEnroe and Borg meet at the airport. I won't spoil the outcome, but they begin to talk about the match, and then it cuts to a wide shot where you can't hear what they're saying. And I thought that was just such a lovely moment. It felt like you were just an observer watching them have this chat. It was really lovely. So that's my thoughts on Borg McEnroe, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. Overall, I thought this film served up a really solid sports biography. As I say, I knew the outcome, but I still found it really interesting and fascinating. If you're a fan of tennis, then absolutely give this one a go. It's going to be really interesting to see how this fares up against another tennis film which is coming out later this year called Battle of the Sexes. I guess like the Sith, they always come in two. I'm really interested to see that as well, so I will be reviewing it as soon as it's released. But for now, thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like, and don't forget to share the lay. You cannot be serious! Do it! Subscribe